From where I'm standing, you can see Canada, but most people still can't cross the border. Earlier today, this whole area in front of the hospital was filled with healthcare workers protesting. These waves are just crashing onto the land. I've never seen the water so high here. And look at that. The wind is literally blowing me all around. Holiday Valley is hoping to stay open until April 10th, which is great news if you love skiing and snowboarding as much as I do. Best assignment ever, let's go! Check out the sidewalk that I'm standing on right now. It looks like it has been shoveled, but there's still a lot of snow here on the ground. To give you an idea of where these crashes have been happening, take a look from above from our Sky Eye 1 drone. But if I leave and drive about 2 miles away, I would get to the Hideaway Grill in Niagara County, where there is no mask mandate. It's not your typical performance. Instead, it's one put on by Mother Nature. Behind me in the distance is Crystal Beach, Ontario, where a lot of New Yorkers take their boats just for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. Now I match them and it looks like I'm ready for the competition to get started. Even from here in the parking lot, you can see just how crowded it is in the stadium. So we'll see how it turns out, but of course, go Bills! Yeah, well, Michael, here at the scene, it is still very somber, and just over here, memorials like this with balloons, flowers, and candles can be seen all around this area. I was just talking with some people coming to pay their respects, and as you mentioned, tonight I sat down with the Erie County District Attorney to get an update on the investigation. Take a look.
This is obviously, I wouldn't even say arguably, obviously the most serious crime scene we've had in Buffalo's history.
Leading up to his arrest, he was in full body armor. He had an assault rifle, and he walked out alive. He's alive.
Yeah.
It begs the question for a lot of people of, if he wasn't white, if he was a different race, would he be alive? Would the situation be different?
Yeah, no, I've heard that question. I understand where that thought question comes from. What I guess troubles me by the question, though, is, if I just said it doesn't trouble me, throw the other side of the coin on it here, is that, what did you want the law enforcement to do? Are you saying? I know you're not saying. I know you're echoing the thoughts that are out there. Are you saying that it would have been okay for the police officers to, in cold blood, shoot this guy? If that's what you're saying, then you're wrong. Okay. In this case, there was no justification to do that. The defendant, and again, I use the word allegedly here to make it fair. Allegedly, had the gun pointed at himself. He wasn't pointing it at the officers. He wasn't pointing at a third person, which would have allowed other things to happen, okay? But he was pointing at himself. And the officers are trained when an individual is threatening their own life with suicide to try to talk them down and de-escalate the situation, right, which is what they did.
Do you believe, based off the initial investigation, that you've seen that officers acted in the way that they're supposed to act in this situation?
Absolutely. 100% from what I would know so far, what I've seen so far, what I've ascertained so far, they 100% acted not only legally, but approappropriately.
Obviously you see horrific things all the time. You said in some ways you're immune to some of this stuff, but not...
Sadly, I am, yeah.
Yeah, but just not to this magnitude.
Oh, no.
A tragedy of this magnitude. Did you ever think like something like this would unfold in our community?
Never. You never think it's going to happen here. You never think that, you hear about an incident, in a school where kids were shot, and you hear about other tragic mass shootings, and you say to yourself, well, that's the last time it's going to happen, but you can't be naive, because it's not the last time it's going to happen, unfortunately. But no, you can never anticipate this, and never prepare for it. I mean, you're not prepared for this. Nothing has made me this sad or this mad. Nothing. Now, the suspect's felony hearing will be held on Thursday morning, and from there it will likely go to a grand jury. And Michael Flynn told me that on Thursday we will not be hearing from the suspect. Reporting live in Buffalo, I'm Olivia Dance.
Well, Michael, tonight I spoke with a Riverside teacher who tells me the district didn't address the threat immediately, which caused anxiety and rumors to spread. A social media post with a photo of a gun in several magazines was circulating around the Buffalo Public School District.
It had Riverside High School March 16th written on it, and I believe it was an Instagram post.
That's at your school. What goes through your mind when you first see that? Do you think it's real immediately?
I think you have to take any threat, especially what happened at McKinley, seriously.
On February 9th, a student was stabbed and a security guard was shot outside McKinley High.
Unfortunately, throughout all the Buffalo public schools, we're letting, a small percentage of students literally destroy the learning environment of entire buildings. It's at crisis mode now.
In a statement to Fox Buffalo, the district said after following all protocols and thoroughly investigating, law enforcement has deemed the threat not credible.
My understanding is the BPS student did, and potentially a Riverside student did post it. Where is that student? Are they being monitored? Where are they going to be tomorrow?
Mark Bruno is a teacher at Riverside. Even though the post isn't considered a threat, he has concerns with how the district handled it.
We shouldn't have to come into school thinking, the school could be potentially shot up. And by not addressing it, it was like a cancer that spread through the building, a cancer of anxiety and fear. And that's pretty unacceptable to me.
Bruno says he was made aware of the post by another teacher on Monday, February 28th. It wasn't until Thursday that the principal sent an email to staff, and the district didn't address it with Riverside teachers in person until March 14th.
The district has a history of downplaying violence, and they want to talk about everything that's succeeding, but no one wants to talk about this issue.
He says parents weren't made aware of the post until weeks later as well. Bruno has been a teacher and union representative at Riverside for 2 decades. He says the violence is nothing new.
And I've broken up hundreds of fights at Riverside. I've been punched, kicked, thrown through doors. I mean, it's part of the job for me.
You talk about breaking up fights and being punched and kicked by students as if it's part of your job description, which last time I checked, that's not the job description of a teacher. So do you believe that violence is also a problem and a concern at Riverside just as much as it is at McKinley or any other school in the district?
I mean, I would think Riverside has been one of the worst over, my past 20 years. I do feel that there's a culture of downplaying violence, and you need some serious leadership to change that.
In their statement, the district said there will be an increased police presence here at Riverside, but Bruno thinks all the schools need more security all the time. Reporting live in Buffalo, I'm Olivia Dance. Daryl Michael, the Buffalo PBA president, tells me that yesterday's incident met the criteria for a chase and that the suspect needed to be placed in custody. It started as a traffic stop on Ferry Street, but quickly turned into a high-speed chase.
Currently shooting at officers again. And he's shooting at officers.
Buffalo police chased 28-year-old Kente Bell for nearly 40 minutes all throughout the city.
I'm hit.
By the time the pursuit ended, with Bell crashing his car, he had shot 3 officers.
It really is a myth that it's a no chase policy. We can't chase, and this met the criteria to permit a chase.
John Evans, the Buffalo Police Benevolent Association president, says Buffalo doesn't have a no chase policy. It depends on the situation.
Cut the pursuit. Too many injured.
But over the police scanner, officers were told to stop the chase multiple times.
Officers, back it off.
Evans says the officer calling for the pursuit to end was in the wrong, and officers were later ordered to continue the pursuit.
I don't know that wasn't an error on their part to cease that or cut that chase off or attempt to. Maybe they didn't know the severity that the officers were shot.
According to the Buffalo Police Manual of Procedures, pursuits should be limited to circumstances where the life or safety of any person is in danger, or if the person being pursued is suspected of committing a violent felony.
If not for the severity of this individual's actions, shooting at officers, absolutely, it would be a larger public safety risk not to get him in custody, get him off the streets.
Did they have an idea that maybe this person was going to go and commit further crimes or something had they not stopped them?
I don't know if his intention was to go out in a blaze of glory, or you can only speculate again, but clearly this deranged individual needed to be, in custody.
The police manual continues by saying the pursuit must be discontinued whenever the risk to officers or the public engendered by the pursuit outweighs the benefit of apprehending the suspect. Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramalia says Bell is a previously convicted felon from a firearms charge in 2020.
We've got an individual that is discharging a firearm while he's driving a car indiscriminately, and we have a duty to protect the citizens as well as our police officers. You let that individual go, what other carnage is he gonna cause?
And Evans tells me that officers are aware of the danger a chase creates for the public, but in this case, it was necessary. Reporting live in Buffalo, I'm Olivia Dance.
Olivia, a question. I wonder if in your conversation with the union president, you got an overall sense of where he thinks the city of Buffalo is when it comes to gun crimes. I mean, this was so brazen.
Yeah, Michael, that's a good question. And it was something that was brought up last night. Immediately, we heard after the incident last night, we heard the police commissioner very visibly angry about illegal guns in our city. And honestly, me and the PBA president didn't talk about that too much today, but he did say that there has been an uptick of crime recently, and it's taking a toll on law enforcement. Well, Michael, we've been driving around all day, and the roads are very slippery. So if you do have to be out, please make sure that you're driving safe. Right now, we're on Richmond Avenue, which, as you can see, is still covered in snow. Residents in this area tell us that they haven't seen a plow come through at all today. Thursday was cold and snowy in Buffalo. As we drove around, we ran into Kyle Schrader, who lives on a side street in the city. You're out here shoveling in shorts. Are you cold?
No, I just got home from work, so I just decided I'd get out here, get a couple shovels in, and call it a day.
Not even cold at all?
Nah, a little bit, nothing too crazy.
Shoveling in shorts. It doesn't get much more Buffalo than that. Schrader says before the snowstorm began, he got an alert from the city.
They said they're going to start towing people with like mini tows if they weren't parked on the correct side of the street, but if they're not plowed, I'm not going to bury my car and ruin my car if I don't have a clear parking spot. They can tow me if they want.
In January, Buffalo got hit with 2 major snowstorms, and many residents complained they didn't see a plow for days.
They definitely need to figure out something better. This is like probably one of the worst winters with plows, as far as plows.
Denise Colopy has lived in Buffalo for over 40 winters. This one's been tough. But the city blames the delay partially on illegally parked cars, blocking plows from coming through.
Over 90% of the callers have said that when it snows and we get significant snowfall, they want their streets open, and if people are parked illegally, they want those vehicles removed. And so that's what we're doing.
Mayor Brown said unlike the storms in January, the city is not waiting to ticket and tow cars that are not following alternate parking regulations. For this storm, the city also hired contractors to help plow the side streets as the snow is falling. Typically, the city won't plow the side streets until after the storm passes. The other day, you said that you likely wouldn't touch the residential side streets until after the snow stops falling. Today, you're saying you're already working on some of those side streets. What changed and why?
That's part of the ongoing adjustments and responsiveness to the abnormal winter the abnormal really January that we saw this year. We have been and are continuing to dig out and widen side streets as we are able to access them.
Now, the city is working to make improvements to its snow removal plan so that they'll be better prepared for major snowstorms like we've seen so far this winter. Reporting live in Buffalo, I'm Olivia Dance.
Olivia, good question.